Hello Duolingo bird, hope you're doing well. So, for stuff, I will probably sketch it out and maybe just go directly to it, I don't know. But, sketch out some figures and have their bodies be a little bit more contorted. I was trying to think of older illustrations or stuff that I did, and I had a series of self-portraits at one time where I had exaggerated figures, but they were more on a grid. They had really angular features and limbs and such, and so I thought I might try to instead have it be perhaps a bit curvy or something, and then have overlapping elements. So like have maybe two heads coming up here, but one of the heads overlaps in on one side and the other one on the other, and then they join in the middle. I'm just sort of exploring interlocking items and figures and such. And I think part of this comes a little bit out of when I was younger. I had a stronger interest in Celtic knots and following the designs, how it's abstracted but has a sense of sort of pattern and some bit of math to it as well. Thanks for the music. It's I was planning. My intention was yesterday to make some more music, but I was distracted with news stuff. So the music will last for about like half an hour, and then it will repeat or something like that. I forget how long it is. It's a little over like 30 minutes of stuff, but it's meant to be sort of ambient. I was listening to some Brian Eno, because he did a lot of ambient music, and I was trying to be like, what did he do to get away with simpler stuff? And he had a lot of piano that just sort of echoed or had a reverb or something. So there's a more digital delay effect happening in there. I opened Audition for the first time in a while. Hey Zolok. But I think I can't hear the music, so if it's too loud or weird or there's some sort of echo or something. Oh, thanks for stopping by, Limbo King. I've been streaming on Instagram pretty consistently, but with the new year I decided to pivot over to Twitch because it seemed like it was a little bit better of a format for the length of stuff that I was doing, and different sort of opportunity for creating a following outside of that platform, because I had like a decent response to things when I'd go on Instagram, but it's still sort of limited in its own way. This is going to get a little chaotic. Today's not the Z, because I have something that I'm doing at 6 p.m. and I might be able to finish it about, but then after I finish doing the work that's like the illustration stuff and such, then I end up spending like an hour or so just editing footage and prepping files and uploading to different spots. And so these are going to end up looking kind of like Nessie the Sea Monster. or what I remember as Nessie the Sea Monster. So I don't have... It's more time than just doing the animation than what actually ends up the time that I'm committed to whatever illustration or project I do. Also, Limbo King, or Lim Zero King. I'm guessing it's Limbo King. If you want to watch, I've done a bunch of streams that you can check out on YouTube. You just go to youtube.com/TraceLoops. If you wanted to see previous streams, there's like 60 plus there, and they're varying lengths between, like, I think the shortest one might have been when I thought that I was done with my food poisoning from earlier this year, but I wasn't, and so I was like, I'm not feeling up to this, see you guys, goodbye. And everyone was nice about it, just I was not feeling as, once I like was sitting up and actually working on stuff, I was like, I don't feel great. So that one is like, is the sidebar the right side now? Or the right size? Oh, sorry. Yeah, I can't. If you got any... Sorry. What is it? I'll try to answer a question. Oh, there we go. Hello, Artemini. I have to learn to navigate chat and talking if I get more people on here. The chat thing on the side was because it was kind of hard to see, and hello, Artemini. And I wanted to have something more personable to it. I might revisit it in time. I'm still figuring things out. That ripped paper is somewhere around here. I ripped it myself. I got distracted with news and did not make new music yesterday, and I delayed posting my thing, and then just felt sort of weird, and still feel weird, because now there's more calling for the 25th Amendment, and finally there was some action by social media platforms to limit Trump's reach on stuff. It's just weird. It's weird to be in the middle of something, because in my mind so much of like historic events are things where it's like it happens and it's the all-consuming thing, but you also still like have to eat and poop and stuff. Like, people still have to live their lives. It's not the sole thing that's existing in the world. Today is just a drawing. It's a still. I'm not animating today because I have a commitment at 6 is when I have to start, and there's a chance that I'd finish by 6 just on the animation aspect of things, but then I'd be coming back later on to edit down footage and stuff, and I prefer to do it all at once. Well, if you want to look at back catalog of illustration things, you can look at them. Were you here yesterday, Ninoy? I did a blockheads thing yesterday. But those are a little bit more straightforward. This one is potentially a bit more complex than... It's already a bit more complex than normal, but something that I'm more likely to make some odd mistakes on. I'm gonna see if these things track once I expand a bit. This guy needs to be a little heavier. Well, if you want to watch previous streams, you can also go to... I put the YouTube link earlier in the chat. If you look on the side chat thing, put that there. And you can go to YouTube and see a bunch of older streams, and there's a selection of illustrations in that collection as well. I don't have them. Maybe I need to separate out playlists for animations and illustrations. I don't know. But they have pretty clear labeling on them for being illustration versus animation. Also, don't feel obliged to go check them out, but if you're interested, they are available. I didn't throw on this filler light. Let's see. Helps a bit. Still got some residual stuff from my sneeze earlier. Personas. Aquí. Watching. Yes, or to many eyes. The music. What about the music? It's hypnotizing. It's meant to be sort of droning. Something that is just sort of like generally relaxing. I forget what the. Let me just see what. It's just a repeating. I forget if that's an arpeggiator or if that's a sequence, but it's just some things and then like a basic drum beat that's using a drum machine that has like a little wood block thing. I think this might be the longest track, I don't know. Let's make this a weird next figure. You have vertigo? That's not a fun thing to have. Lanky person. Okay, let's try transferring this over. I got a bunch of slightly larger, but I think I'd rather just use the one that I don't have to bother cutting it down to get it on the scanner. Boom! That sort of paper. Let's offset a little bit to get it slightly centered and that I can tape it down more easily. There's a chance I mess up somewhere in here and I have to fix it digitally, or I find that once it's solid, stuff looks a little bit differently, so no guarantees that this initial sketch is going to be 100% represented in the final thing. I just realized I should probably take this down on the sides as well, just because it'll do a better job of stopping it from warping up a bit. It's not going to be perfect, but this paper is thin paper, it's just tracing paper that's on top, and so even though like a little bit of moisture or heat from my hands being on top of it will warp it a bit, so if I were to make it super tight, it would still have issues. Okay. So what I found is to be the easiest way of clearing out some of those dried out ink flakes, so that I have something of a basic starting point. And now we'll just be outlining these because it takes a long time to fill these in if I were to actually fill them in, and I am okay with it being a still because it doesn't add as much to the experience bits and such. This is going to get a little confusing. I need to just sort of finish most of this figure. No one today has asked about, say her name, and Breonna Taylor. It's been a minute since someone's asked, and I don't think anyone has while I've been streaming on Twitch. People sometimes ask, but if it's not in the chat, you can look back and see, but no one's asked. Could be that the people who are here are familiar with it or have asked in the past. I don't know. Or just don't have interest in it. I don't think that the family specifically is familiar with me. There I'd be surprised, but I don't know. Okay, now let's get to this one. Now, before I forget, let's do this little foot. Now this figure. Why did I choose to write it there? It's in reference to Breonna Taylor, a woman who was shot and killed in her home by police enacting a no-knock warrant in Louisville, Kentucky. I haven't checked in on the specifics in a while, but it's to keep awareness of the human victims of police brutality and racial injustices in the world, specifically in the United States, from institutions of power that are meant to be peacekeepers. It is a bad thing. I have a different sort of sense of connection to that particular instance because it took place in Louisville, Kentucky, and I think people are far more aware of the LMED and just Louisville in general. And I had a different sort of emotional reaction seeing the depictions of protests in that area because I used to live there. I was there in middle and high school, so it was places like I'd go and hang out or go see movies and stuff in close proximity, in a way that seeing New York protests, New York has a different sort of global stage, national stage compared to Louisville, Kentucky, so you don't see coverage of that location in the same way, and seeing it on national news for a period of time during that was a different sort of feeling, and so it stuck with me in a more personal way, which makes it seem like I'm trying to be dismissive of other instances of police brutality and unjustified and murders that have not found justice for the killing of citizens, but it just is something truthful about my experience. It's a difficult thing to talk about in schools, but yeah, I think it merits discussion in schools. It's a relatively recent thing. It's not something that would have had time to really find its way into curriculum exactly, because it's not considered historic yet, in the sense that it's too contemporary for things for like printed materials and such to be published and distributed into school systems at large. So it can only really be discussed in contemporary situations, and there's a lot of it's difficult to discuss anything in public schools, not because it can't be done, but because the fact that it's a public service, and so people contest things in a different way in public school settings compared to private schools or private institutions. I don't know what the reaction was in places like my high school. I don't know anybody who's still in high school. At my high school, everyone graduated. It is better to talk for the future than the past. That makes sense. It's just something that's harder to establish. I'm not saying that it shouldn't be, just I understand why it hasn't been, as far as I'm aware, taught in schools in the same way that something like the civil rights movement would have. Getting closer to having these outlined. I wrote it, I forget what specifically. There was a different sort of sense of spur to write it down. It's just been on that paper for, I don't know, a bit of time. It's a few months. I think it was when there was the announcement of the grand jury that there would be like no legal reaction. I don't recall the specific time. There was something that spurred it, but it was after the initial rounds of protests and confrontation and such. was in general awareness. I felt like it wasn't necessarily my voice that needed to be out there. I did some donations and such on my personal account. I have ordered a pin to be made, and it was delivered like in February because I had this idea to have a gumball machine and do stuff with having pins in there and different odds and ends. But then the pandemic came on, and I was like, I don't feel like I can ask people to buy anything right now. And so I just sort of held on to those for a while, sent them to some of my friends and family, and then eventually put that up for sale with the proceeds going to the bail fund for a bail fund in Louisville, Kentucky. And maybe sometime around there I wrote more with it. It's in association with a lot of Black Lives Matter protests, but there's a number of different victims of police brutality and killings that I just sort of decided for my own sense to focus in on Breonna Taylor, because she had the most, it hit closest to home for me. I can't really be present for everything or every facet of things, so I decided to just stay focused on a smaller one, and it felt like Louisville probably wouldn't have the same funding on a national stage as New York, which is what I'm in closer proximity to. But I imagine that Louisville would also continue to not have quite as much funding after the fact, the organizations in those communities, and so I've stayed focused on that component of the larger national, international discussion. I also still have some family in the Louisville area, so there's a different sense of connection. Is it still broadcasting? Sometimes I have weird issues with playback on my thing. Let me pop over to my channel. It doesn't matter. Okay, I was worried I wasn't recording. I did see what happened with Trump supporters yesterday. It's why I felt very weird the last day. It was a weird day because it started off with confirmation of news of elections in Georgia coming through, and then later in the day it was like, oh, they're storming the Capitol for something that's meant to just be a procedural action. It's basically like everything's been certified however many times over. It's just a like reassessment of it or reconfirmation of it. You guys having issues with viewing Twitch? My stream's still going and I'm still recording, but let me. It might be me, but I'm having some issues with Twitch. Loading, so if you are as well, well, you wouldn't be seeing it, but I'm recording, just not able to see stuff right now. Let me check online. Wrong one. Yeah, problems at Twitch. Anyway, you can watch this later on if you're particularly enthralled with it, but I want to see the conclusion. I'm guessing it might be a localized issue. I think that's it. I think that's all the aspects of stuff. So next step is to scan this and then fill in the solid sections. This is 1/7/21. Leave that running there. Not running, it's just leave that sitting there. Now, I've got a selection. Odds and ends happening. Grab this. This is my general sense of the orientation. And plug this in. Image capture. Let's do custom size. Other live designs, new folder 01-07-2021. That, create that, choose that. 07 figures overlap.scan. We're going 1200, so I need to set my computer down so I don't get a distorted scan. Okay. Now let's pull Photoshop. Check that this window capture is still going good. Cool. Now let's open up Live Designs. This one. Let's darken it a good amount. Start filling it in. There's a little hole there. This section where the brush split. Let's up this tolerance a bit. Ooh, that one's very much missing. Okay, split in a different way. Let me turn down the tolerance just a little. Okay. The tolerance is just how many, like how different the pixel color can be. No, where's the break that I'm not seeing? Is it this guy? Yep. Okay. What the variance is. Like how much how different the color can be, but where it will still fill it in. So if your tolerance is very low, then where you have like a change in the color, it won't fill it in. I'm doing a bad job of explaining this. 300, that doesn't matter, 1080. Let's crop this down just a little bit, see if it cuts into stuff. It does. Okay. Let's jump back slightly. Maybe it's just a little bit wider, perhaps. And then I can crop it down. So 1350. Okay. And let's crop the side down. This is just the maximum size for Instagram to not get cropped. And so it's a 4:5 aspect ratio. Turn off window capture. Switch out this image. Live Designs 107. Insta. Okay, and there you go. Let's see if Twitch is still acting up. Seems like it might be localized. I don't know. Oh, there it goes. At least to that bit. Well, anyway, I'll figure it out later. So, wait. Well, two things. One, I missed these lips here. Second, 1080. Crop that down. Save this as JPEG overlap instead of 2. But I also can't throw in the chat stuff. Oh, there's a second. Pair of lips I omitted. I'm not doing the hottest with this. Okay. 1550. Cut down to 1080. Save this out as instead 3. Replace this image with this guy. Just a little bit of difference, not terribly different. But let's see. I forget. Let's try once more. Okay. I typed it in correctly, or I thought I had. Remember this computer for this number of days. Sorry for the weird delay happening here. I was just trying to see if, nope, still error loading data. So I'm gonna have to do this as an audio spiel because I can't get back on the chat on my computer. So, spiel time. If you want to watch this live stream or previous live streams in full, you can go to youtube.com/TraceLoops and find this and other streams. Also some different form video, different lengths and such. Some that's been edited down and some that is just general long form. If you want to buy this design on a shirt or some other designs on things, you can go to traceloops.com/store and look and buy some stuff. If you're not shipping to the United States, then you can email me, traceloops@traceloops.com, or reach out on Twitch, and I can work with you to figure out if the price of shipping is worthwhile for you, and then send you the items that you're interested in. It varies in what the price difference is because some of the items are fulfilled by a printing service that can print internationally, and the shipping cost from those locations is like $6 or something, but if I'm shipping it, it could be in excess of $20, so there's a discrepancy there. So that's the issue, but that's TraceLoops@traceloops.com. You can email me there or reach out on Twitch, or if you follow me on Instagram, that's another place you can follow me. That's Instagram.com/TraceLoops. Also on TikTok, which is TikTok.com/@TraceLoops. But generally, if you search TraceLoops and something pops up, it's a good chance it's me, unless it's people who are tracing the history of something using looping mechanisms of some kind. If you look for some of my stuff, you get a mixed bag of what the instances are of it outside of my created content. Thank you all for watching. I'll plan on being back tomorrow, and tomorrow the plan is to do the last letter of the alphabet. I'll give you a hint. It starts with Z. Actually, it ends with Z. I gotta do Z. That's my last letter for the alphabet, and then I'll edit stuff down and figure out some other things, and then within like a day after that, you can use it on all your Instagram stories and your Snapchats and your TikToks. And that makes me sound older, which I guess I am. But yeah, if you want to use the existing letters, excluding Z. You can search under GIFs on various things, wherever it's like a sticker sort of deal. If you search alphabet loops as one word, should pop up. And if you want to just look at general stickers that I have, you can just search for TraceLoops. Don't have anything else to really go on about today. Seems like Twitch is having some issues, at least locally for me. Thank you all for watching. Plan on being back tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to animate a Z for Z. Okay, adios.